Welcome back everyone. I'm doing TPS sensors again. It was a little interesting with the previous videos. I know there was the first one that I did where you could adjust it yourself, and a lot of people like that. A lot of people set out to adjust their own. It was intended for people who had issues with their recall and needed to adjust it for themselves. Admittedly, in the video, I was adjusting it for my own reasons. I wanted it back to what mine was set to before the recall, and that just made my logs more consistent. I knew I was looking at the same values and whatnot with respect to the zeroing. I didn't actually need to adjust it, but because of what I was doing and I was only trying to adjust it a small amount, I kind of did mess that video up because I was using the absolute value instead of the relative value. And I've made so many comments in there to people wanting to do adjustments to just set it between 14.9 and 16.5, I believe, on your scanner and call it done. Now, I did the more recent ones where I had the AliExpress one. It was garbage. There's no qualms about that. And people telling me that I can't just put a voltage over it, telling me that I had to measure all the resistances first and that I was going to burn it out just putting 5 volt across it, ignoring the fact that I actually did measure all of the resistances first before I put a voltage anywhere near it. I had someone say that you had to set it by resistance on the first video and not use the scanner. With what we've done here, that's proven to be completely incorrect. For the average person, the scanner is precisely how you do it. Yamaha's tool, the percentages on their machine might actually match what the scanner's giving out. So where I say the scanner, you set it from 14.9 to 16, and Yamaha post recall have said set it to 16, and that's right. Whereas in the shop manual for it, it says set it to 11 to 16 or something like that. That could be because it's just working out the same percentages as what the scanner is doing. For me, I want to go off what the bike is actually doing, and we know from the Woolwich logs that the bike is outputting raw ADC values. So when I turn the bike on, it goes through its zeroing processes and it's sitting there idling, waiting to start. It gives me 32. I think it gives me a 35 at the moment because of playing around with the TPS sensor here when I had my fault, and that's still cleared. So yeah, that sensor doesn't need replacing. In the meantime, I managed to find the right connectors. AliExpress. I got both ends, all right, and subsequently I pulled out the Handtech to do a full suite of resistance measurements again. This is the actual nominal circuit for the sensor. So we have pins 2 and 3 in the middle, all right, and we have the 2 wiper resistances, all right. There's a bit of headroom at each end, so these parts, the wipers here can't actually move the full range, but it doesn't really matter too much. So at any given point, this is the circuit. So as you're adjusting it, these wipers actually move opposite to each other, all right, and we can calculate at any point for each of the values. Now we know that the value across the top and the bottom here is fixed and pretty equal relative to each other. We know that there's, well, it was speculated, I speculated that there was a static resistance on these wipers, and there's also a variable element within the junction. So this was going back to the resistance values that I measured off the bike while it was plugged in. So they're a bit rough and ready. We only had 3 positions and they were set by applying voltage to the bike. I think the first one was was off, closed. The next one was with 3 volts, and the next one was with 4.5 volts going in. So we were able to calculate these values here. So R6 is one wiper static and R8 is the other wiper static resistance. So there is 62 ohms and 54 ohms on those. Basically, that means that at absolute zero of the sensor, so when it's at one of its extremes or at the other, and you are measuring the shortest value from the input, the power, to the signal, all right, there's still 50 ohms minimum in there. And at 5 volts, that will limit any current. So the twits that were coming on and saying you're going to burn it out putting 5 volts, learn Ohm's law before you come and comment on the internet. But I think they were car people. So maybe they're car sensors, they've blown up a few, and that's their problem. But yeah, I'm not about to go blow up a $200 sensor just for shits and giggles. All right, so I calculated that, worked out what they were, worked out some other resistance positions, but in the end, this was just what's on the bike, installed on the bike at the moment. Wasn't too worried about that. So I sat down with the hand tech and went through the jig and measured all of the resistances, and it's a lot more accurate than the Uni-T, and that's a good thing. Got much higher precision. All right, and worked out with this sensor, a lot of numbers, a lot of measurement positions, but ultimately we're looking at here, so 80 ohms and 84 ohms for those two resistors. So there's a minimum of 80 ohms top and bottom on the nominal circuit. With the connectors, my ultimate plan was kind of achieved, which was to build something that I could use to zero them. So we have, wrong direction. Okay, so we have a tool there that we can use to actually zero them now. So if I connect that up, power it up, and the output of this, if we can get it. So yeah, there's no output at the moment. So we put the output on and we get, so if I wipe the sensor, okay. Now these are, it's not perfectly lined with the bike, so I don't know which one's which yet with respect to which one is PID 11 and which one is PID 40 something, 49 or 47. We'll have to have a look later. The bike outputs an 8-bit for one and a 10-bit value for the other. So what I have here is, this one is a 10-bit value. Okay, so the first column, 10-bit value, second column is an 8-bit adjusted value, and this one is the actual voltage. So even turned all the way down or all the way up, we can see that there's still some headroom here. So this value here is the one that corresponds to, actually let's go fully closed. Okay, so this is fully closed, but we're about a few degrees open. All right, so this one here is the one that corresponds to PID 11. So this 24 is the equivalent of the bike's 32. So what I'll be able to do with this is plug it into the bike and have it read off what the actual values are for voltage, the raw ADC value, know that that is an absolute value. I can write it on here in text of what to set it to. And yeah, this is technically more accurate than Yamaha's tool. I just had a project board lying around that I'd made up myself, and yeah, it was time to give it a purpose. So that is that. Now, I don't know if anyone cares, but I might crack it open. So I'll just turn it off. Okay, so yeah, little what AT Mega 8089. Yeah, it was for a completely different purpose, but yeah, happy to repurpose it for this. This is not to be used on the bike while it's running. This is for when the bike is off. Going to make my life easier. I'm not reliant on having to do calculations or anything like that. With this, I don't have to worry about getting Yamaha to do it. If I need to do it, I can just replace it myself. You could replace it with a scan tool. That would probably work. The problem with the scan tool is the bike needs to be running, so you don't actually get an accurate measurement of what its closed value is. So you have to really, really be careful and with what you're doing there. So this will do the job for me, and it'll be a handy little kit. Hopefully this will put to bed some of the silly comments that rock up. Obviously, I'm not a massive YouTube channel. You know, this is pretty niche stuff. And hopefully people will know that you can adjust it yourself, but the scanner is the best tool for a DIYer. Knowing what the actual circuit is, all right, will hopefully end some silly comments on the internet. Mind you, it'll just replace them with other silly comments. But I'll leave it as that for now. And yeah, hope you guys stick around for more. Hopefully this will be the end of TPS sensor discussions. I will be moving on to doing my own CAN bus logger. So I have parts in play for that. There's a ST chip that has built-in CAN bus functionality, and I'll be looking at using that. Just need the interfaces, and because it's got to do K-line and it's got to do the actual CAN interfaces, and it'll let me have a look at what's in there. Now, when I have a look at the wiring diagram for the MT09, the CAN bus has got a lot of chatting going on, a lot of information connected to it, I should say. So connected to it is the so connected to the CAN bus on there is the ABS module, but also connected on the same CAN bus is the IMU. And that is going to be very interesting because I know Woolwich with the Gen 4 appear to not be logging as much information, or not collecting as much information as they did with the Gen 3. That's kind of a tragedy, but they have a great logging platform. If they could modify it, and they can, to collect IMU information, people would buy it just as a logger. It would be, yeah, worth their while. By not focusing on the logging, I know they've tried to implement the code reading, but I just don't think that's that viable. So I'm going to be intrigued to see what how the interface works and what information is flying along it. But that's a longer term project. That's going to take a bit. I've got to get boards made up for that. I tried with some modules, but the modules are just too dodgy. Too many fake chips and stuff like that, and fake claims. And yeah. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and catch us next time.